Well, I mean, for me, it's amazing. You know what I mean? I think it's very powerful to have, come off two victories in a row and to kind of get a winning streak going because, like, the mental game is everything. And sometimes you lose. And especially if you're an older guy like me, it's like the dream is to be up at the top and you're kind of having setbacks at a later time in your career. And it's hard to kind of be honest with yourself and be like, I might not get to that top spot, but hey, it's okay. Like I still belong here, and it's all about this next fight, get this win.
All right, man. Let's just jump right into it, man. You're a couple days removed from your win. How you feeling?
I'm feeling pretty sore, but I feel good. I got a little. He hit me with a little elbow here that cut me, and that's where the black eye's from. But other than that, my body's pretty good. Just the normal bumps and bruises from a 3 round fight.
What did the doctor say? When are you gonna get the stitches out?
I think it's like a couple of weeks, but usually you kind of see them start to dissolve a little bit, and then you gotta take the rest out. But yeah, I think it's a couple of weeks.
So you don't have to go back to the doctor. You could just take them out yourself.
Yeah, you could either take them out yourself, or you could just like go to your local doctor. I have like a teammate of mine that's actually about to become a doctor, so he takes them out for me.
Oh, that's
Yeah,
that's convenient then, huh?
yeah, it's good to have him as a teammate.
For sure. Now, with Kevin Croom, man, it was a funky style, man. He's long, he's linky. Heading into the fight, what was the objective? What was the game plan?
Yeah, I mean, with 3 days notice, it's kind of like, don't think too much about it, but it was a complete different style fighter. Um, and like you said, he's long, he's a natural featherweight. He had like a good amount of reach on me, but in the fight, he didn't really seem to fight very long. Like I even heard his coach kind of telling him to get small, get small, I guess, like to kind of crunch like his style up. And I don't know what that was about because you would think, he would want to keep me on the outside, but he does flick a lot of punches out there. He uses a lot of volume. So I had to kind of gauge what range he was trying to fight me at and what he was looking to do. Because in a lot of his fights, he tries to bum rush forward and take guys down. And to me, I was like, you know what? Like I'm a lot shorter to the ground. I just don't see him wanting to do that with me. It's going to be hard to get underneath me. And I was right. He just kind of wanted to strike with me, and I was able to land the power shots. And so I think that was the difference in the fight. I hurt him a couple times. So
When you got an opponent that likes to, like you said, flick punches out there, but doesn't have much power, but it's annoying, how do you adjust to that?
yeah, it's one of those things because like you don't want to jump in because guys that do that, it looks like he's setting up, constantly setting something up, and I don't know what he's setting up. So I'm like, all right, let me wait, reset. A lot of resetting, and a lot of gauging in that first round for me. Once I realized that like that was what he was doing, he was just trying to kind of stay high volume and flick stuff out there, kind of set up the calf kick that he landed a couple times. It just didn't seem like to me he was really looking for a power shot at any time. So. Um, I just kind of was like, all right, I'm going to time this, try to counter, land some shots off of his shots, and that was it.
Did you have a feeling like maybe in the second round or so that this guy, like Kevin Croom, wasn't going to try to get a finish on you? He was just trying to get a decision. Because sometimes in a late notice fight, your objective is to win, not to really finish your opponent. Sometimes.
Yeah, I kind of got that somewhat from the way he was fighting, but also I think he kind of gets tired in his fights as the fight goes on. And for me, it's the opposite. So like I go on the incline, and the third round's usually my best round, and that was the case in this fight. He let out a lot of volume, and then the third round came, and I was ready to push the pace, and he kind of was showing me that he didn't want to do that anymore. So I figured him out towards the third round that, once I landed a couple takedowns, I thought that was a smart place to take the fight because I felt I had an advantage there. And, that showed. So I just, I think my veteran savvy comes to show in a lot of these fights. I've had a lot of fights, a lot of experience, and I use that to my advantage.
When did you feel like you got the distance set, and then after that, it was just like smooth sailing for you?
Really, it was like I'd say like midway through the second round, I started to come alive a little bit more, and then once I realized that I can get in on him, get closer, land a hard shot, I realized I just needed to feint a little bit more and then commit. I think sometimes I'm a little hesitant with commitment, but if I do commit and I land shots, like I hurt guys, and really it's that, I just need to commit to my shots and get close and throw them with bad intentions, and I started to do that more, and I saw it in his eyes. He felt my power, and then that set up the takedowns. You start hitting guys and landing hard shots, and now the takedowns that much easier because they're worried about your strikes.
And from a strategic standpoint, I mean, you just mentioned earlier that his coach was telling him to crouch down, and he was flicking shots out there. And sometimes that activity and like moving forward could get into the judge's eyes in the wrong way. You know what I'm saying? Like you can land the power shots, but it all depends on the judges, right? Was that ever a worry for you?
Not really. I think in that fight, most of the hard shots landed were mine, and you can kind of see that. Anytime somebody was kind of wobbled or rocked a little, it was him. So I dropped him in the first round. I think that helped me. I wasn't sure honestly if I won the fight, but I think the fact that I hurt him and dropped him, it really helped me on the judge's eyes. And that plays a big role. A lot of these pepper shots, soft shots, like they can only count so many of those. If they're landing, they're landing. But a lot of those shots I block. I see a lot of those shots coming. So they're kind of hitting air and then they're hitting my gloves. And then the one I lands hits him clean. And I think the judges see that.
The stat box, man, when they count the significant strikes, I just, sometimes people try to point to that too much and they don't really go back
Yeah.
and think about the round, right? And it's a weird thing. Don't you think sometimes when you watch fights, when they put up the statistics, when you clearly know that one guy won the round, but maybe the other guy landed a couple more punches, but they weren't really that significant.
Oh yeah, 100%. I mean, those numbers, they only go so far. If you really look at the fight as a fight and as how things played out and what landed significantly, what hurt the other guy and how things were going, it's different. Like you said, if he's flicking out jabs and hitting air, he's still flicking out punches that maybe they just barely nick my glove or something, and they're not really, doing damage to me. Whereas maybe he throws five punches, I throw two, but my two were like real solid and they did damage and they caused an effect in the fight, but his didn't, so you got to kind of look at it differently like that.
I think the judges need to understand that too, you know what I mean? Because sometimes they do not, and they
Oh yeah.
they make big mistakes for rounds. And I remember after the fight, you said that you felt like the third round could have been a 10-8. Do you think judges need to start giving out these more often?
Yeah, I mean, if like, what is a 10-8 if you don't if it's not going to be a thing that they judge? I think like, a clear dominant round should be a 10-8. Now the line I guess is drawn like how much time of dominance and like what did the guy do anything? You know what I mean? Like maybe a guy lands like a flying knee and rocks you, but then the whole rest of the round you're dominating. Like I don't know about that because that's kind of iffy because you got dropped. But like it's so much discretion. It's up for like your opinion type of thing where you don't know if these judges are aligned. Like are they seeing the same thing or are they thinking the same thing for a 10-8? So I guess it has to be really clear cut to get it across the board. And I think my third round was pretty clear, that I did like 99% of everything in that third round.
Yeah, I agree, man. I think if one fighter is dominating the round, it should be a automatic 10-8. And if you barely
Yeah.
win the round, it should be a 10-9 because it seems like if you dominate the round, it's a 10-9 in some judges' eyes, and if you barely win the round, it's a 10-9 in some judges' eyes, which is weird.
Yeah, right. Like there's so much difference in that, but yet it's the same score.
Yeah. I don't know how you fix that, man. How do you fix that? Do you allow the judges to be more flexible with their scores and tell them like I don't. It's confusing to me. Like I don't know who controls the judges. You know what I mean? Who judges the judges? That's the question.
Yeah. Yeah. Like what is there judge school or are they just going in there free handed? Like, all right, whatever I feel like it is a really hard thing to gauge, and to assess because like you said, like there's no half points. I've heard people bring that up, and like there's no detail to it. It's just kind of like, okay, this guy won the round 10-9, like you said, and then like a domination's the same thing, like 10-9, this guy won the round, but it's not fair that it's like that because a 10-8 can change the whole entire
Yeah,
fight.
it can, man. And I think we should even start giving out 10-7s for like if you
Yeah.
knock a guy down twice in the round and you control the round, and and you win it clearly, like to me, it's like knock a guy down twice. That's significant in a round. I think 10-7s should be out there, but we barely ever see that. I don't even remember the last time. Do you remember a 10-7?
No, I don't, and I agree with you. I think that that should be a thing because, like you said before, like maybe they see a 10-9 as like a very dominant round, but like you didn't win every part of the round. So they're like, 10-9. But then, like, if you win the whole entire round and control the guy from pillar to post, okay, 10-8. But like you said, if I've knocked this guy down and I'm rocking this guy, almost finishing the fight, maybe once, twice in the round, like now maybe we go to a 10-7.
In the main event, right? It was Cater versus Chikadze. In that first
Yeah.
round, Cater was doing decent on the feet, and then he took him down and controlled like most of the round. What would you give in that round? What a score!
Yeah, see, I'd have to go back and watch it clearly, but I did watch the fight, and I remember like Giga landed a couple of good kicks, and I think that like really set a little bit of panic in Cater, and he was like, I'm grabbing a hold of this guy, like I'm getting him down, forget this, and it was amazing how he adapted in that fight. But in that first round with the takedown and the control, I guess I would lean towards the 10-9 because Giga did have success before he got controlled. But the 10-8 is if he doesn't have success and he gets controlled. And then I say we go 10-7, like you said, if he's almost finished or maybe almost submitted and he gets controlled the whole round. Something like that.
Yeah, definitely, definitely, man. We need to have more conversations about this, man. I think me talking with
Yeah.
you, other fighters, it gives me more perspective on like how it feels in the fight too. You know what I mean? Like what they feel,
Mhm.
and what should be made, what changes should be made. We need to make changes. That's clear as day. For yourself, man, back to back wins. You gain some momentum. You're riding the momentum. How important is that for a fighter?
Well, I mean, for me, it's amazing. You know what I mean? I think it's very powerful to have, come off two victories in a row and to kind of get a winning streak going because, like, the mental game is everything. And sometimes you lose. And especially if you're an older guy like me, it's like the dream is to be up at the top and you're kind of having setbacks at a later time in your career. And it's hard to kind of be honest with yourself and be like, I might not get to that top spot, but hey, it's okay. Like I still belong here, and it's all about this next fight, get this win, and then let's build a streak and keep going like this because you never know what happens. I mean, I still feel great, and momentum's powerful, so I'm gonna keep this going and take this into the next one.
It seems like you want to fight at bantamweight, but featherweight just keeps drawing you back in. You know what I mean? It's a trip.
Hey man, I can't complain, like, because if I don't have to cut weight and I can get paid and fight, I'm doing it. And that happened this time, and it was like a blessing, but it was really weird to deal with because I was like mentally prepared. Like I'm about to make 135. I'm sitting at 147 that when I got the call. I'm almost on weight now for featherweight. And I'm like, now I got to eat a little bit and drink more so I can almost like put on a little bit of weight so I have room to gain. So it was a weird circumstance, but yeah, I mean, featherweight short notice, all about it. If I have a full camp, like I'm a true bantamweight. My reach is shorter than these guys, and my body frame is a true bantamweight. So I would like to fight there, but I'm not going to complain if I get an opportunity, like I said, to kind of be healthy, go into a fight full health. I'm going to do it.
Well, you gain a lot of confidence, man, when you go up to featherweight and fight a real featherweight and beat them, pillar to
Yeah.
post.
Yeah, I mean, that's true, because most of these featherweight fights I had were against bantamweights, like it was a fair fight. But this case was a situation where I'm really fighting a legit featherweight who has a size advantage, reach advantage, everything. And, granted, he's coming in 3 days' notice, so you got to give him the leeway for that. And it's kind of lose lose in that situation because people don't care about me going up the weight class because I prepared to fight for that day. They only care like, oh wow, Kevin Croom stepped up 3 days' notice. What a gangster! And I agree, but like I feel like I'm a gangster too for going up and fighting a featherweight on 3 days.
Yeah, they don't talk about that in the headlines, right? They don't talk about you,
Yeah.
going up a weight class when you were preparing yourself. Like you said, you're ready to cut down to 135, and then now you gotta hydrate a little bit more, eat. Oh man, that must have been a trip, right? Like just getting yourself, like your mind is like focused on one thing, and then they come and tell you like, hey, you don't have to do that thing that you've been focusing on this whole time.
Exactly. It's a real mental like game,
Mm-hmm.
because you're really conditioning your mind like leading into fight week to prepare to like put yourself through hell to make a weight class, and you got to be dialed in, you got to do everything right, you can't really slip up, so you're like really strict and regimented and do eating this amount and drinking this amount of water, and then all of a sudden I'm literally freed like I was in jail, and like the doors open and it's like no, go ahead, you're good. It's like that kind of feeling, It's like, whoa, like, oh my God, this is what life is like. Like, okay. And then, but you're like, I don't know. I don't want to eat extra carbs right now. I shouldn't be, right? Like, this is weird. I'm eating. So it felt interesting, and it was like a different kind of feeling. But like I said, in the end, I mean, I'm never gonna really complain about being able to eat more carbs and feel better and healthier, and then fight and get paid. So
For sure, for sure. Those are the two most important things: eat more and get paid to fight.
yeah.
This I think this is your fourth time where like you got a switch up or a cancellation because of the COVID protocol. It's like you're one of the guys that have been affected by this the most, man. Do you feel like people just need to realize that this is reality moving forward and in the fight game, and we just got to get used to it?
Yeah, 100%. I mean, everything's changing, on the day. Like even their fight week, they were changing things, and they would test us this day instead of this day because they didn't want any more fights falling through. That whole card almost got like ruined because of the COVID situation. And yeah, I almost go into fight week and I'm like a little on edge because I'm like something might happen, and I'm like worried about it because you put all the work in, you're there, you're cutting the weight, and you're like, please, nothing happen. I want to get this fight and get paid. I had a long camp, for Saeed. I mean, it was like good 8 weeks that I knew about that fight. So, I saw him and I saw his interview with you actually. And the weird thing is when I watched it, I was like, I feel like he sounds like he has a cold. And then I thought that for a second, and then he tests positive, and I was like, no, oh my God, that's so weird, And then the fight was off, and I was like, I felt bad for him because he said he didn't feel anything. He said he felt fine, and then he put all the time in too, But this is what's happening this day and age. Like fights are falling through, and short notice guys are coming in, and that's why like I don't look too much into my opponent's tape because you might be fighting a different guy come fight week. So there's no point to obsess over your opponent. Just be the best you, and that's it.
You're 5-2 in your last seven, man. That's a pretty damn good streak right there. Your only
Yeah.
setbacks were decisions to ranked opponents. So, what I mean? Do you feel like the next one you deserve a ranked opponent? You need to get a crack at another ranked guy?
Yeah, I mean, it's time for me to get over that hump. I've gotten my chances a couple times to like break into that top 15, and I've come up short, to really, really good fighters, Ricky Simon and Cody Stamen, But I hung in there with those guys, and I fought good fights, especially the Stamen fight. I really performed well, and I feel like I can be there. It's just a matter of going in there and getting edging out these guys. I'm losing decisions, and some of these fights are closer than others. But yeah, I think right now I set myself up for maybe a top 15, right on the cusp, or maybe get one more win and then break into there again. So I'm excited.
Raphael Assuncao sitting at number 15, man. I think that's a pretty decent matchup. I don't think he's set for a fight. So what do you think of it? What do you think of that?
It's funny you bring that up, man, because I just looked at the rankings and I literally saw his name and thought that's a great fight right there for me, like to break in top 15. Another veteran who's been in this sport a long time. I know he's coming off a bad knockout loss as of recent to Ricky Simone. And so I'm sure he's on like a little bit of a break, but it kind of lines up because I got to let this cut heal. And I think, another couple months, 3 months, maybe April, that's a great matchup, a great fight for me to kind of put myself into that area that we were talking about.
Yeah, it's like the trajectory of you guys, like kind of like meeting in the
Yeah.
middle, like that. I think it's a
Yeah.
it's a great matchup also, and stylistically, it'll be a fun fight for both of you guys. All right, Brian, man. I hope in the next, like you said, April, you're back. A Sunsao, that would be a great matchup. I would love to see that fight. I guess you just gotta call Sean Shelby and see what's up.
Yeah, we got to make that fight happen. Maybe that's the guy. I gotta do a little call out and get it done.
All right, man. Thank you, man, Brian, for the time, man. Heal up fast, and we'll see you quick. Thank you.
Yeah, no problem, man. Thanks a lot. Appreciate it.